Okay, this is the next step in scene writing, and we're going to take a close look at how to move from scene to scene quickly and efficiently with a detailed look at the montage, Carl, Ellie grow old together sequence in Up. I believe that this is the greatest sequence in making us care about an unlikable character. In Up, Carl, as the movie gets in at the end of Act 1 and into Act 2, Carl is a grumpy old man who goes on an adventure, right? He goes on an adventure with a young boy, and we need to feel for this older grumpy man who doesn't want who the world has passed by. And the sequence is inserted in the first act, and it really serves as the catalyst to make us care about Carl. And what the sequence is it's a look at their entire life together. It was very unusual to put something like this together. And what it does is when you view it, and I suggest everybody views it before watching this entire lecture, and then we will view it again after the lecture. But you should take a look at it and see how you hook into Carl and Ellie's relationship and how much you care. And then at the end, when Ellie has passed on, how much you care about Carl. We're with him for the entire movie of Up because of this. And structurally and technically, it is a masterpiece. And so I'm going to give you a close look at how it works, how it allows us to move through time. And essentially in 5 or 6 pages, we move through an entire lifetime of Carl and Ellie's life. And formatting, it shows us how a montage works, how quick scenes work, how scenes work without dialogue, how dialogue is not necessary. You know, for those of you who have seen this sequence, you notice that it's just scored with music. There's no dialogue at all in this sequence. But I want you to pay attention to how active and specific the dialogue is. Not the dialogue, the description is, and how it creates an image and how it shows us the change. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to take a deep analysis of the scene of Up. So again, I've sent all of you a list in advanced scene writing. These are the list of scenes that I think you should write. Well done scenes, right? Lady Bird, Whiplash, opening scenes, Butch Cassidy, Get Out. But the scene that we're looking at today is Up, the montage sequence. And this will finish off our look at how to make formatting create images. As I said earlier, we transition between young Ellie and young Carl. And look how simple it is in the dialogue. If you want to make a character, you want to transition to Carl and Ellie, young Carl, right? Here's the dialogue. This is the transition going from their youth, and this is the beginning of the montage right here. And young Ellie says, you don't talk very much. I like you. Carl looks out the window after her in amazement. He rests his head on his balloon. And the balloon, as we go through the sequence, is a very, very, very powerful image that literally pays off through the entire movie. The house eventually is taken off in balloons. But look in the scene. Look how deftly a balloon is used, right? Carl, wow, the balloon pops. In the sequence we just saw, it's the flash on the screen, right? Well, in the screenplay, it's just interior church day. And remember when we talk about description, right? Again, I'm in these pages from here all the way until we get to Carl, with the single blue balloon, right, on page 14. When we go from 10 to 14, or we get entire lifetime, it's just description. And notice how spaced out it is. Interior church day, there's our slug line. There we are. Flash. Why is flash capitalized? Because in the scene you saw, it was a pop. You're creating that image with all capital letters and in the exclamation point. flash, right? A photo is taken of the wedding couple, Carl and Ellie, now 19. We just aged them to 19. She jumps at him and gives him a big kiss, right? As said before, you want to give me a new paragraph, right? A new paragraph. And essentially we're saying cut to one side of the church and then cut to another side of the church. Ellie's side of the church erupts like wild tears. Frontsman, a gunshot is fired in the air. New paragraph, new shot. Carl's side, rigid Puritans in black, clap politely. Nice juxtaposition. We are setting up their relationship. We're showing how two different people are coming together, right? Then we're moving to an exterior, the dilapidated house. This is the house that they played in when they were children, right? And Carl carries a sold sign past her. It's the same house where they met as kids, right? We're showing that he bought the house. We're not saying he bought the house, you're showing he bought the house. And as you saw in the film or in the clip, that's exactly how it goes. And then this is how we cut through time, right? Exterior, Carl and Ellie's house, still in their wedding clothes. He hammers. Remember, we talked about in the last class that if you want to show time pass, all you got to do is drop a slug line. Time has passed. They're still in their wedding clothes. Not a lot of time has passed, but enough time has passed. And here's the action. She saws as he hammers, right? We're building the house. We're building the nest, so to speak. Carl and Ellie's house, comma, living room. Now we're in the living room, day. They push two chairs into place side by side in living room, setting up the house. Back to the outside. Exterior, Carl and Ellie's house, day. Carl finishes painting. Carl and Ellie, in quotes. So if you write in quotes, finish painting Carl and Ellie in quotes on their mailbox, that means we're seeing it. You're showing it on their mailbox. Why is mailbox all capitalized? Mailbox is just like the balloon, it's a very important image, right? So we're capitalizing it. And this is a nice bit of action that happens here. Carl leans in to admire her work, but leaves a messy paint handprint on the mailbox. Oh, well, Ellie adds her handprint as well. They smile. Movement forward. They are a team. They are together in this adventure. This is what it is. This is an adventure. That is their lifetime. And after this adventure is over, Carl is literally going to go on an adventure where the house flies off to Paradise Falls, where they never had made it, right? Their house now matches Ellie's colorful clubhouse drawing from her adventure book. And the reason this is capitalized is because it's important. This drawing, you see the house matching the drawing set up earlier, right? And this adventure book is their plan as children to have an adventure, right? Ellie is not going to go on the adventure. Carl is going to go on the adventure, right? But this is them together, right? Dreaming to go on the adventure, right? That they now live in a house that's out of the book, right? Rural hillside day. This is a significant location, right? And you'll see in this sequence that we keep going back to it with good news, bad news, and ultimately the worst news. Exterior, rural hillside day. They run up the hillside together, right? That's all you have to do. Then a new paragraph, we cut to, now they lie side by side on a picnic blanket. She describes the clouds. He watches as clouds transforms into a turtle, right? They're enjoying each other. They're having fun. Relationship is deepening. Carl closes his eyes and smiles. He's lucky to be with her, right? Fantastic. Again, short, showing us, not telling us, showing us, right? Showing us that the relationship is deep. We're back at the zoo, right? Ellie emerges from the South American house, dressed in her zookeeper's uniform, right? Carl shows off his new balloon cart. Notice all capitalized, very significant, a uniform. Behind him, the balloons lift the cart off the ground. Carl jumps to catch it. She giggles. Very significant action. We hit two actions. Now, maybe they're not going off the adventure, but they've gone to the zoo and they're working. They're kind of living an adventure, not quite the one they imagined, but they're here at the zoo working together. Notice the balloon cart. What a great image. It lifts off. He pushes it back down. This completely foreshadows and sets up when the house flies off with Carl in it, right? With Carl in it, right? Here, Carl and Ellie's house, living room, day. Carl and Ellie sit side by side in their chairs, those chairs that we pushed in together, reading without looking up from their books, they hold hands. There's a relationship, right? There is a deepening relationship, right? We're showing maturity. Now we're back at this significant location, exterior rural hillside day. Again, at their picnic spot, they watch clouds. Ellie sees an elephant with wings. Carl gives it a try, points out a baby, all caps. Very, very important. We're gonna have a setback. This is foreshadowing a setback that's about to happen. Carl lights up, excited. He sees all capitalized, the clouds as babies, exclamation point. Carl is stunned, but smiles. We just showed that they have made a decision, a life decision. We are going to have a child, right? Step forward in the narrative, step forward in the scene, right? Step forward in their life, all done very simply, right? With 4 lines, right? Now we are in the house, Carl and Ellie's house, comma, in the baby room, right? Finishes painting a wall. Ellie finishes painting a wall mural of a stork carrying a bundle in its beak. Carl hangs a mobile above the crib, right? They are nesting, literally nesting, right? Interior doctor's office, right? We just cut to the doctor's office, right? And we buy a slug line. Afternoon. Carl touches Ellie's shoulder as the doctor explains. Ellie drops her head in her hands. In the sequence, it's an elaborate pan from the baby room, move through a wall, and we go and we pan through the doctor's office and we see it's much more elaborate in a script. This is all you need. And we're not saying exactly why she can't have the baby. We just know that she lost the baby. She can't have the baby. Something has happened. Carl touches Ellie's shoulder as the doctor explains. Ellie drops her head in her hands, right? Massive setback in this young couple's plans. And it's very powerful, very simply done here in the screenplay, right? And we're moving forward, right? Back to exterior Carl house, living room, afternoon, right? This we're outside. So Carl's looking out the window. Ellie sits alone underneath the tree, the wind in her hair, right? So that's the way. He's looking out the window. He sees her sitting. We know her sadness, right? We know her sadness, right? Moving forward, right? Exterior Carl and Ellie's house, yard, afternoon. Carl joins Ellie, right? He's out there. He hands her the adventure book. She smiles, shows her the adventure book. Maybe we cannot have a family together, but let's go. Let's do this. Let's do this adventure, right? Here we're back in the living room, interior Carl and Ellie's house living room. Same day, afternoon. She paints a mural of their house atop Paradise Falls over the mantle. Very significant. She paints the mural of their house that comes from the adventure book, puts it above the mantle. This is the literal house that will fly in balloons and land on top of Paradise Falls, right? Carl organized the compass, map, binoculars, native bird figurine beneath the painting. It's their shrine to adventure, right? Not giving up. They're moving forward, right? And remember when we broke down what is a good story, right? Up and down, good, bad, struggle, conflict. We're seeing the conflict shown to us in their lives, done very simply by active description, right? Active description, right? It's a perfect, this in a sense really is a montage. The whole thing's just sent to music. Now, as it speeds up, you will see how to accelerate the montage, and that's where we're going. Interior, Carl and Ellie's house, living room, afternoon. Carl sets a jar, capitalized, significant. Paradise Falls written on it, showing us, right? This is how they're going to get to Paradise Falls. Ellie drops in a few coins. She looks at Carl and crosses her heart. He crosses his. Now, in the sequence, we're going to accelerate. And instead of a slug line here, right? If you want to, we're going to speed some time up. I'm going to show you how to do this by examining the script. You simply need to put a series of shots, right? A series of shots, right? And you don't need the slug lines for each of these. Essentially, this is a master slug that is telling you some quick shots are going to happen. You are controlling the pace of your script by doing this. So if you're going to take your characters out for a walk, if you want to show somebody training, if you want to show a relationship building, if you want to show something like them saving and spending all the money in the jar, this is how you do it. The jar slowly fills as Carl and Ellie toss in spare change. New paragraph. Every time there's a new paragraph, there's a cut. There's a movement forward. And you're not saying dissolve, cut. You're just saying their car blows a tire. You're showing a setback. It's a two stand by the jar, reluctant. Carl caps, breaks the jar, right? As you saw in the sequence, bam, it's a big deal. The jar's broken, right? A lot more details with the jar being broken, but it's all you need, the one line. New tire, right? Fantastic. Two words, we got a new tire, right? Cut to, without saying it, Carl in the hospital with a broken leg, breaking the jar. Broken leg, broken jar. Storm rages, tree falls, crushing the room, breaking jar, right? Simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 brief lines in a series of shots. And you've just done a quick montage that shows saving, spending, saving, spending. Years are going by, right? In 7 lines. Right? Now we're going to slow down for a second here. Carl and Ellie's house, front hall morning. Carl struggles to tie his tie. Ellie helps. They walk out the front door arm in arm. Despite all of this, they are still happy, right? And now time is going to rapidly pass. Now we're going to go through an entire lifetime in one slug line, 1, 2 series of descriptions, right? Another slug line, and another series. And in just this amount of time, right? This amount of time, we're going to cover we're going to take them out of their youth into old age. Done very, very deftly. Interior, Carl and Ellie's house, front hall, 3 years later. Again, as we said in the basic formatting lecture, you can just say later, right? But you can be specific. This is 3 years later. Do we see this in the scene? No, but you're like letting the audience know. There's no 3 years later on the screen, but time has passed. Carl struggles to tie, or Ellie struggles to tie Carl's tie as they rush out the door, right? And now we're going to get the series of shots that takes us through decades. A series of shots. And notice how this doesn't have to be spread out because it's only 1 sentence or 2 sentences. You can stack it together. You could list it out, in this way, but this works just as well. A series of shots as Ellie straightens Carl's ties, stylish 1950s ties, right? There's specific choices made in that clip we just saw, right? Or when you watch the clip, you see it's not here. We're just saying 50s ties, right? Stylish 50 ties. Now we go to wide 60s ties. Just 1 sentence. You're saying use your imagination. Well, when they make the movie, you're not using your imagination, you're making the choices. Which is the difference between a screenplay and a movie, right? The wide 60s ties allows me to actively engage in what a wide 60s ties would be, right? And then we move to Paisley's 70s ties, right? We've gone from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? Suddenly, we've passed how much time? Interior, Carl and Ellie's house, front hall, 30 years later, right? We've just cut to 30 years later, right? And instead of just saying 30 years later, what a brilliant way with a close-up on these ties to pass our time. It's really well done, right? Older Carl and Ellie smiled at themselves in the hall mirror. All of the ups and downs, a lesson in writing. There's hope, we're dashed. There's hope, we're dashed. There's hope, we're dashed. Done very simply in so far 2 pages, right? We've gotten them into their 60s, right? Exterior zoo day, Carl in his 60s, right? They still work happily side by side at the zoo. Carl's cart lifts off the ground. He casually leans an elbow at it. He leans an elbow on it. Very nice. A recall from when they first started at the zoo. They have spent a lifetime, a very good lifetime with hardships, but a very good lifetime together. All, again, now we're getting to the 3rd page. Carl and Ellie's house, living room 9. Carl and Ellie dance in the evening candlelight. The Paradise Falls jar sits off to the side, now dusty and forgotten, Carl and Ellie's house, living room, afternoon. And notice we're just using this as a cut device. You just can use it. We go from night to afternoon. Time has passed. Night, afternoon. Carl cleans the inside of the window. Ellie cleans the outside, right? Carl's interior, Carl's house, living room, afternoon. Carl vacuums the adventure shrine on the mantle. Carl smiles at a photo of Ellie as a child wearing her flight helmet and goggles, right? He looks at the mural at their house on the Paradise Falls. His smile fades. This is a downtick, right? This is a downtick. And when we get into detailed scene structure, I'm going to have you score what's good, what's bad, what's good, what's bad. But for now, you know, this is another downbeat that Carl's going to try to like take care of. Behind him, Ellie sweeps the floor. Their dream has gone unfulfilled. Carl has an idea, right? Carl has an idea. We're gonna go for it one last time. Where do we go? Travel agency day. Carl buys 2 tickets to South America. Just buys the tickets. We're gonna go. Now we go back to this significant spot, the place that matters to them, the exterior rural hillside afternoon, right? This is where they first were young and in love and playing with clouds, where they decided to have a baby, right? Attempt to have a baby where it didn't work out, right? Now they're back, and he's going to take her up for the big news. He hurries excitedly up Picnic Hill, right? He hides the airline tickets in the basket. Behind him, right? Ellie falters and falls. She tries to get up, but falls again. Something is wrong. He runs to her, right? This is where the scene gets really sad, and we're going to realize that Carl's going to lose his soulmate, right? Interior, hospital room, day. Ellie lies in a hospital bed. She looks through her adventure book, the significant object. And here we go. A blue balloon floats into the room, right? Carl stands at the door. We're saying, here's a space. He's at the door. He smiles, walks to her bedside. Ellie pushes her adventure book towards him. She weakly pats his cheek and adjusts his tie. Look at how simple yet complex this is. We got the adventure book, right? She pats his cheek and adjusts his tie. The tie being the significant image, right? That shows us time passing, the repetition of their life, right? One thing that you want to pay attention to as you write, are there significant objects that you can point out and use, right? To show relationships, to show significance. You know, the tie, the adventure book, the blue balloon is just masterful, right? He kisses her on the forehead, right? And we're not saying anything, we're just showing. Church afternoon, he sits alone next to a huge bouquet of balloons, right? Carl walks into the house holding a single blue balloon, fade to black. Sad, 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 yet poignant, and I would say almost works unto itself as a lesson as a short film, beginning, middle, and end, right? More importantly, though, it makes, you know, as we get here, the movie started here, Carl's bedroom morning several years later, and we're going to see Carl alone in a double bed. He's going to rub his face. He is not a happy guy, right? I'm not going to go through all of this here, but you can see he gets an image, or he gets something that's suggesting he goes to a retirement village, right? His house is the lone surviving square on a block, not under construction, machinery and workers. He is in a neighborhood that doesn't exist anymore, right? He's in and then the story is really starting, but the story doesn't start here. If the story started here, he'd be a grumpy old man who we did not care about. He would be a grumpy old man who we did not care about. When we look at this scene here, we really care about him. And what I want you to do is I want you to keep this scene, right? I've sent all of you this scene, and all of you can get the screenplay. It's a great screenplay to read. This is a scene like when I'm teaching any class or any reference, how do I make time go by? How do I do a training montage? How do I do a developing a relationship? How do I show somebody, being frustrated with their job. How do I show somebody learning something, right? This is the model. This is a lifetime. This is developing the love of your life and losing the love of your life, right? And done simply with slug lines, description, right? That eventually goes into series of shots, right? With single lines, and then more series of shots that shows us, that shows 30 years going by, right? It's really a nice lesson. Now, of course, you want to get into more formatting. As I tell everybody, you buy the Screenwriter's Bible. That's where the detailed formatting is. But I have, as you go onto YouTube, there are great sites on detailed formatting. You can go through, you can get it for free anywhere. But this is a great lesson in time passage. And why do we make time pass here? For a specific purpose, to care about an individual, And as I said in the previous formatting lecture, the most important thing is to show us and make us imagine. That's what this scene does. It shows us and makes us imagine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it. I've just done read you the script, and now after reading you the script, you've already viewed it. I want you to view the movie again, and I will scroll the script, and you'll see the difference between the script and the film. Give me a sec. There's our pause. I'm going to start it again. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to get our script. Oops, sorry about that. Get our script right up here. Right, and I want you to. You should do this. Line by line. There's a big difference between one thing that you should know. This huge difference between a screenplay and a movie. A movie has everything. It has all the moves, the shots, and what I'm trying to convey to you that a screenplay just has the crucial action and not the details in it, right? So I'm going to play this scene, and I'm just going to put the screenplay next to it, and that'll be that. There's the mailbox. Oh, well, there's the picture of the house. There's the house. There we are on the hillside, rural hillside. There's the clouds, right? Turtle. He closes his eyes. Lucky to have her. We're back at the zoo, right? There was no pan in, there's no bird, right? The balloon cart, boom, pull it down, right? Reading, right? Hold hands, back at the hillside, notice the quick cut, right? Elephants, all the cloud, baby, there's our baby. She nods and boom, what if it's all babies? Oh. Here we are. Now watch this. Look how complicated this is. Go through a wall. Sadness, way more complicated than the doctor's office. Wide shot, doctors talking, close on Carl. None of that in our scene. Here we are. She's outside. It's great, right? Filmmaking, match cut. He comes out. They're going to make it. Here's the book. She smiles. Paints the mural. Where's our jar? There it is. And now here's that series of shots. Right? Car blows a tire. Didn't say anything about the shot. There's no hammer. The tire. Cut to there. Cut. Rain. Tree. Break. Now we're into the ties. Watch them age. There you go. Older, older, love the bow tie. Not in the script. Obviously a production choice. Zoo, dancing, cleaning the window together. Very powerful image. Happy. Uh-oh. Young Ellie. The image. His idea. There it is. Travel agency. Heading up the hill. She falls. Something is wrong. Hospital. Reading the adventure book. Blue balloon. Powerful. Carl alone, holding a single blue balloon. Again, I can't tell you how different that the screenplay is from what we just saw. Like, it doesn't have the shots. It doesn't have all the detail, but it has the heart. It shows us their relationship, and that is your job. Your job is not to be a director, right? There are very few camera directions, and even the ones series of tracks, these aren't really, you're not saying exactly how where the camera is when the jar is filling out. Their car blows a tire. There's a wide shot of the car that zeroes in on the tire and comes back. You don't do any of that. You do none of that. You do none of that at all. So all I want you to focus on is the script, right? The script, and know that your job is to make sure that we see it and it's clear, right? Formatted properly. What we're going to move on to from here is how to take a scene. I'm stopping our share. How we take a scene and how we take this formatting and we start crafting tops and bottoms of scenes, right? But I think between this and the previous formatting lecture, you should have a good grasp on it. You should also continue to read screenplays that inspire you to want to write your movie. Just by reading this screenplay, you will know more about formatting. You will know about what to show and how to show it. So that's it. That is up as an example on how to format. I am going to